Hello my dear students. So once again welcome to the channel Simplified Mathematics. So students, we are going to discuss today a topic, very simple topic, that is square root. Okay, so already you know how to find the square root, but here today we are going to discuss square root of a negative number. So today we are going to discuss on this topic square root of a negative number. Okay, so to discuss this topic, square root of a negative number, so first let me start with square root of some positive number. Okay, the square root of some positive number, let us calculate it. Say you know that if our number is a perfect square, say 4, then what is its square root? You'll get a rational number plus minus 2, or square root of say 0.25, you'll get a rational number plus minus 0.5. okay, plus minus 0.5. But if your number is not a perfect square, suppose we are to find out square root of 3, which is not a perfect square, or say square root of say 9.3, which is not a perfect square, okay, then it will be like the root 3, root over 9.3, etc. Or suppose another one, say square root of 24. As you know that 24 means 4 into 6. So 4 has square root 2, but 6 has no square root, so it will be like this one. Okay, now so if our number is a perfect square, when you calculate the square root, you'll get your answer as a rational number. Okay, here this square root are a rational number. Okay, but if your number is not a perfect square like 3, 9.3, etc., etc., then what will be the square roots? They are irrational number. Okay, that you already know. Okay, these things already know, but rational or irrational, whatever, ultimately they are real number. So square root of any real number, whether it is perfect square or not a perfect square, if the number is positive, then you have square root, and square root is also a real number. Now let us try to find out the square root of a negative number. Okay, here we have calculated square root of some positive number. Now today we are going to calculate square root of some negative number. Say let us take the negative of this number. Say 4 I have taken, let me take negative of 4, minus 4. So how can I get negative of 4? It is very simple. Say with 4, if I multiply minus 1, then I will get negative of 4. Okay, similarly with 0.25, if I multiply minus 1, then I will get negative of 0.25. Or in this case with 3, if I multiply minus 1, then I will get negative of 3, that is minus 3, etc. Say suppose we are to find out now square root of minus 4. Okay, square root of minus 4, suppose we are going to calculate. Now when you are going to calculate square root of minus 4, then what is the problem here? You see, so minus 4 is 4 into minus 1, so it will be, you write here like this, so it will be square root of 4 into square root of minus 1. Okay, it will be like that, square root of 4 into square root of minus 1. Or suppose we want to find out square root of minus 3. As minus 3 is plus 3 into minus 1, so square root of minus 3 means square root of 3 into square root of minus 1. So you can write it as square root of 3 into square root of minus 1. Okay, now whenever you see here in this step, whenever I try to find out square root of a negative number, actually it happens what? Square root of a positive number into square root of minus 1. The square root of positive number exists, already I discussed. So how to find out the square root of minus 1? Because if we can calculate square root of minus 1, then you can find out the square root of minus 4 or square root of minus 3, etc. Now suppose, so our problem is here, our problem is to find square root of minus 1. Then it is clear to you that if I can calculate this, then I can find out the square root of any negative number. So suppose square root of minus 1, if I take it as, say suppose a number, say p, which means p square means p into p is equal to minus 1. So in real life p exists or not? Now if I consider p as a positive number, if p is positive, then positive into positive, answer is positive. If p is a negative number, then negative into negative, then also answer is positive. So if our p is positive or negative, whatever, then when you find its square or when you multiply it continuously 2 times, then your answer must be a positive number. But here my answer is negative number, -1. That means it is clear from this that in real life we don't have any number, okay, which is square root of -1. Okay, as there is no real number which is square root of -1, then what will happen? The problem of calculating the square root of negative number, we cannot solve it. So because of that, to find the square root of any negative number, we assume that square root of -1 is there, and that is nothing but this I. We imagine that square root of -1 is there, that is I, and I is actually what? I is actually iota, where we in short we use the letter, write the letter I and we read it as I. Okay, actually it is iota. Okay, so square root of -1 is what? Square root of -1 is I. Once you take that square root of -1 is equal to I, now what will happen? You see, you can find out the square root of -4. Why? Because it will be nothing but square root of 4, which is already you know, plus -2, and square root of -1, it is twice I. Similarly, you can find out the square root of -3, it will be square root of 3, okay, and square root of -1, which is I. So now the problem of calculating the square root of any negative number is solved. It is nothing but square root of a positive number into square root of -1, okay, because every negative number is nothing but a positive number into -1. So whenever you go to find a square root of a negative number, you need to calculate the square root of the positive factor, which may be rational or irrational. Already you know how to calculate, and you have to calculate the square root of -1, and which just now we assume that it is equal to I. Okay, clear now? Next thing is that, so let us discuss some point regarding this I. So I is what? I is -1. I is square root of -1. I is equal to square root of -1. If I is square root of -1, then what will be square of I? It will be -1. What will be cube of I? It is square of I into I. Square of I is -1. To -1, when you multiply with I, it will be -I. What is I to the power 4? It is square of I to the power 2. Square of I is -1. So square of -1 means it is +1. Okay, so I is square root of -1, I square is -1, I cube is -I, and I to the power 4 is +1. Okay, clear up to this step? So these values you have to remember. Okay, you have to remember this value. So I is equal to square root of -1, I square is -1, I cube is -I to the power 4 is +1. Okay, clear? So now let me discuss something more about this I. Okay. So students, while discussing square root of a negative number, we have got this one I, which is square root of -1, I square equal to -1, I cube -I, and I to the power 4 is equal to 1. Now suppose we want to find out I to the power a multiple of 4, say 4 into q, where q is an integer. Okay, I to the power multiple of 4. Clear? So q is what? Q is a positive integer. Q is a positive integer. That means you have taken here a positive multiple of 4. Then what will be the value? By law of indices, you can write it as I to the power 4 whole thing to the power q. I to the power 4 is 1. So 1 to the power q and 1 to the power anything is equal to 1. That means when the power of I is a positive multiple of 4, then your answer is 1. That means, for example, you can say, say I to the power 32. As you know that 32 is 4 8 is 32. So this value will be equal to 1. Okay. Say another example, let me take it, say I to the power, say 78156. 78156. Now here, whether it is multiple of 4 or not, to decide that, you already got it in the lower classes, I need to see the number formed by the last 2 digits. That means 56. As you know that 56 is equal to 4 into 14. That means it is multiple of 4. So the entire number is a multiple of 4 or exactly divisible by 4. So 78156, 78,156, it is divisible by 4 or it is multiple of 4. As a result, this value is equal to 1. Okay, clear? Next, suppose I take small n be any positive integer. Suppose I take small n equal to any positive integer. Now, this small n can be of this form. This small n can be of this form 4q plus 1, okay, 4q plus 2 or 4q plus 3, okay, it can be of this form. Okay, why it can be of this form? Because if n is a positive integer, let us see here, n is a positive integer. If you divide it by 4, okay, suppose n is greater than 4, because up to 4, up to the power 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, already you know the value. Say suppose it is 5, 6, something like that. And if it is exactly divisible by 4, then also you know the value. Say it may not be exactly divisible by 4, then how to find it? Now, if I divide n by 4, see, you will get some quotient here and you will get some remainder. Okay. If it is exactly divisible, then remainder will be 0. Otherwise, remainder will be 1, 2, 3. As you know that remainder cannot be greater than divisor, so it cannot be greater than 4. So it is the highest value is 3. And you know that dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder. So n is equal to 4q plus r. Now, if I put r is equal to 0, then it will be 4q. R is equal to 1, 4q plus 1. R is equal to 2, 4q plus 2. R is equal to 3, 4q plus 3. So, suppose you are to find out I to the power n, I to the power any positive integer you are asked to calculate. Okay. So, it may be of this form 4q, or it may be of this form 4q plus 1. Okay. It may be of this form, n may be of this form 4q plus 2, n may be of this form 4q plus 3. So, whenever you are going to find out I to the power n, so you see here n is of the form 4q, 4q plus 1, 4q plus 2 or 4q plus 3. That means you divide n by 4 and you see the remainder is 0, remainder is 1, remainder is 2 or remainder is 3. Okay. And how to divide a number by 4? I already explained here. You no need to divide the entire number. You have to divide only the number formed by last 2 digits. Okay. So, like here 56. Okay. If I divide 56 by 4, then remainder is 0. So, it will be of the form 4q. I explained already. So, just the number formed by last 2 digits, you divide it by 4 and then you will come to know what will be your remainder. Remainder is 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever. Okay. Now, come to this. I already explained that if it is in the form 4q, then the value is 1. Okay, now come to this one. So, if I use this law of indices that x to the power m into x to the power n is equal to x to the power m plus n. If I use that from the right side means x to the power m plus n is equal to what? X to the power m into x to the power n. If I use that, then I to the power 4q plus 1 will be I to the power 4q into I to the power 1. I to the power 4q is 1, so 1 into I to the power 1. It will be I to the power 4q into I to the power 2, so 1 into I to the power 2. It will be I to the power 4q into I to the power 3, so 1 into I to the power 3. That means, just you observe one thing, the power of I was 1, which I divide by 4, then you get remainder 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. After that, what is the power of I? The power of I is nothing but the remainder when you divide n by 4. If remainder is 1, then I to the power 1. If remainder is 2, then I to the power 2. If remainder is 3, then I to the power 3. Okay. And if remainder is 0, then I to the power 0 actually. And anything to the power 0 is 1. Now, I to the power 1, I to the power 2, I to the power 3. What are their values? You already know. Okay. So, I to the power 1 means I, which is square root of minus 1. I square means minus 1. I cube means minus I. So, if it is any positive integer, if n is any positive integer, then we have to divide it by 4. Accordingly, you will get remainder 0, 1, 2, 3. So, ultimately the power of I is equal to that particular remainder. Okay. So, if it is 0, then I to the power 0, I to the power 1, I to the power 2, I to the power 3. Okay. Clear now? So, next thing, what we are going to discuss, one important property we are going to discuss it. Okay, see. Okay, so once again you see I square, I cube, I to the power 4 are there. Now if I add I plus I square plus I cube plus I to the power 4, I have got an important result. It is 0. Okay, so the sum will be always 0. Now see, suppose I take a positive integer n suppose be a positive integer, and suppose be a positive integer. Okay, if n is positive integer, then n plus 1, n plus 2, and n plus 3. What are these? N plus 1 is the integer next to n plus 2 is next to n plus 1, n plus 3 is next to n plus 2. Okay, so they are consecutive integers. Any 4 consecutive integers you have taken here, n plus 1, n plus 2, n plus 3. Now let us find out I to the power n, I to the power n plus 1, I to the power n plus 2, I to the power n plus 3, and find the sum. That means here I have taken I to the power any 4 consecutive integer, and what is the sum of that. So here actually I to the power n is common factor. I to the power n plus 1 is actually I to the power n into I to the power 1. It is I to the power n into I to the power 2. It is I to the power n into I to the power 3. So I can take I to the power n common. If I take it common, then I have 1 plus I square plus I cube. 1 plus I square plus I cube. Or I to the power n 1 plus I square means minus 1, I cube means minus I. So all these get cancelled. So ultimately you have I to the power n into 0, which is 0. That means if the power of I, you see n plus 1, n plus 2, n plus 3, 4 consecutive positive integer, and when you add them, your answer is always 0. That means, see here, that means what happened? Say suppose I have to add I to the power 1, I to the power 2, I to the power 3, I to the power 4. Already I have got it, it is equal to 0. Then suppose I have to add I to the power 2, I to the power 3, I to the power 4, I to the power 5, then also my answer is 0, because 2, 3, 4, 5 they are positive consecutive integers. Or suppose I to the power 5, I to the power 6, I to the power 7, I to the power 8, it is 0, like that. Okay, if 4 consecutive integers I have taken. Not only this 5, 6, 7, 8, suppose it is I to the power 10, I to the power 11, I to the power 12, I to the power 13, then also my answer will be 0, like that one. Okay, now based on this result, that if the power of I is 4 consecutive integer, and when we add it, answer is 0. Okay, or this results you obtain from that one. So based on this, let us discuss one question. So students, suppose we are to solve this one. Evaluate sigma n equal to 1 to 13 I to the power n plus I to the power n plus 1. Okay, that means here, that means in this example, n is 1, 2, 3 up to 13, and n plus 1 will be, n plus 1 will start from 2, so 2, 3, 4 up to 14. Okay, clear? So whenever you are going to find it, that means it is equal to n equal to 1 to 13 I to the power n, sigma n equal to 1 to 13 I to the power n plus 1. So that means it will be, as I written here, so it will be I to the power 1, I to the power 2, I to the power 3 up to I to the power 13, okay, plus here I to the power 2, I to the power 3, I to the power 4 up to I to the power 14. Okay, up to I to the power 14. Now here if I take 4 consecutive integer, then it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, in one group it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Next group 5, 6, 7, 8. Next group 9, 10, 11, 12, and next 13. Power of I 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 13. So I to the power 1, I to the power 2, I to the power 3, I to the power 4. Okay, these are 4 consecutive integers. Sum will be 0. Then I to the power 5, I to the power 6, I to the power 7, I to the power 8. This 4 consecutive integer when you take, then sum is 0. Like here, this one I have written here. I to the power 9, I to the power 10, I to the power 11, I to the power 12. Sum will be 0. So you have only this one, 13 left. So this will be only I to the power 13. Similarly, from 2 to 14, okay, 2 to 14. So in one group you will have 2, 4, 5, 6. These are 4 consecutive integers. I to the power 2 plus I to the power 3 plus I to the power, 2, 3, 4, 5, So I to the power 2 plus I to the power 3 plus I to the power 4 plus I to the power 5. Answer will be 0. Next group 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Only 14 left. So it will be ultimately I to the power 14. So you have I to the power 13 plus I to the power 14. I to the power 13 means if I divide by 13 by 4, then remainder will be 1. So it will be I to the power 1. And 14 when you divide by 4, remainder will be 2. So it will be I to the power 2. Okay. So you have to divide the positive integer by 4. Whatever remainder comes, that will be the power. So if I divide 13 by 4, then power will be 1. If I divide 14 by 4, then power will be 2. So ultimately this I plus I square. And I square means minus 1. So I minus 1. Okay. So this question is based on this property whichever just now we have discussed. Okay. Next, another one. One thing you have seen, here. So one thing you have seen here. So whenever our power of I is even number, it may be 2 or it may be 4. Answer is either minus 1 or plus 1. Okay. So what I can say that I to the power any even power is there, suppose I to the power any even power is there, suppose, then my answer will be minus 1 or plus 1. Okay, clear? Next, suppose n is any positive integer. N is suppose any positive integer. Then one thing is sure that whenever you multiply 2 with this, that is twice n, is always even. N may be odd or even, but twice n is always even. Okay, twice n is always even, whatever the value of n. Now let us find out square of twice n. That is, let us calculate the square of that even number. So what will be square of twice n? The square of twice n will be what? It will be square of 2, that is 4, and square of n, 4n square. Okay, clear? So now, just a minute. So I have calculated square of the even number twice n. It is 4 into n square or 4 into something. Okay, 4 into something. That means 4 is always factor of square of any even number. Okay, so you can say that square of any even number is multiple of 4. Multiple of 4. Square of any even number is multiple of 4. And when I to the power that even number is multiple of 4, the answer is always 1. I to the power, if it is multiple of 4, that also already we have discussed. So multiple of 4, then answer is always 1. Clear? So two things I have got it. Power of I is even, then answer is minus 1 or plus 1. If that even number is multiple of 4, then always plus 1. And if I take any even number and when I square it, so square is always multiple of 4. Means square of an even number is always multiple of 4. Okay. So this much we have got it. Clear? Next thing is there. Okay. So let me write this in summary, and based on this we are going to discuss one question. Okay. Just now. So students, now let us try to solve this question. A(n) equal to I to the power n plus 1 whole square. If a(n) is equal to I to the power n plus 1 whole square, that means if a1 in place of n you have to write 1, when it is a2 in place of n you have to write 2, like that, then you have to find a1, a3, a5, a1 plus a3 plus a5 up to a25. Okay, up to that you have to find it out. So first of all, one thing you see, if n is odd, then n plus 1 is even. Okay, here the power of I is n plus 1 whole square. So if n is odd, then n plus 1 is even. Next, if n plus 1 is even, then n plus 1 whole square, like here square of any even number is multiple of 4. So n plus 1 whole square is multiple of 4. Multiple of 4, that we are already got it. So that's why you see, when I write a1, that is n is equal to 1, it will be I to the power 1 plus 1 2, 2 whole square is 4, so it will be 1. When it is a3, okay, so if n is odd, then n plus 1 is even, n plus 1 whole square is a multiple of 4, so here n is odd, so n plus 1 is even, n plus 1 whole square is multiple of 4, so I to the power n plus 1 whole square, it is I to the power multiple of 4, and I to the power multiple of 4 is 1, so a3 is also 1, a5 is also 1, a25 is also 1. Okay, so an is always 1 if n is odd, because if n is odd, then n plus 1 is even, and if n plus 1 is even, then n plus 1 whole square is multiple of 4. So that's why an is always 1 if n is odd. So here you see n 1, 3, 5, 25. These are all odd number. So a1, a3, a5, a25 all are equal to 1. Clear? Now whenever you are going to find this sum, so it is what? 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus up to 1. Now how many times you have to add 1? For that, how many odd numbers are there from 1 to 25? From 1 to 25, there are how many odd numbers? 13 odd numbers are there. Okay, 13 odd numbers are there, because up to 24 is an even number, so half of 24 are even, half of 24 are odd. Now 12 even numbers, 12 odd numbers up to 24, then one more 25, so 13 odd numbers are there. That means you have to add 1 how many times? Up to 13 times. Up to 13 times. So if I add 1 up to 13 times, then what will be my answer? 13 into 1, that is 13. So a1 plus a3 plus a5 up to a25 is 13. Okay, so how we have calculated it? Because an was I to the power n plus 1 whole square. So if n is odd, then n plus 1 is even, and if n plus 1 is even, then n plus 1 whole square, because square of any even number is multiple of 4, so n plus 1 whole square is a multiple of 4. Okay, so what I can say, that an equal to I to the power n plus 1 whole square, when I to the power multiple of 4 is 1 if n is odd. Okay, I can say like that, because if n is odd, n plus 1 is even, n plus 1 whole square is multiple of 4, and I to the power multiple of 4 is 1. So if n is odd, then it is always 1. So here you see a1, a3, a5, in all these terms n is odd, so they are all equal to 1. So 1 plus 1 plus 1, how many times you have to add? 13 times you have to add, because from 1 to 25 there are 13 odd numbers. So 13 into 1, answer is 13. Okay, so these are some simple examples. Based on that I. Okay, so whatever we have discussed today, in this video we discuss to find the square root of a negative number. When we are trying to find the square root of a negative number, we have seen that every negative number is actually product of a positive number and minus 1. That means there are two factors, one a positive number, one minus 1. And square root of positive number, you know, it always exists, may be rational, may be irrational. So our problem is to find the square root of minus 1. And square root of minus 1, we have assumed it equal to I. Okay, I means iota. As square root of minus 1, you take it as equal to I. Now you can calculate square root of any negative number. And from I, we have got some results. And based on those results, we solve two examples just to explain or illustrate those two results. Okay. So students, this much for today. Okay, so in our next video, we'll discuss more on this, that square root of negative number. When we know to find a square root of negative number, then using that, what new things we are going to get, that I am going to discuss in my next video. Okay, so thank you everyone. Please do like, share and subscribe the channel, and you let your friends know about the channel, so that they also can come to know about the different topics of mathematics, and then they can clear their doubts. Okay, thank you once again. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye bye. Thank you.